Hello everybody, my name is Graslin. Today I'm going to be talking about the Virgo Pisces opposition. I decided to do this front to back. I just did the Leo Aquarius opposition. I figured I'd just do this one right now. And so yeah, let's jump into it. With the Virgo Pisces opposition, it mostly has to do with purity, mysticism, and purpose. At least that's what I've deduced. And obviously Virgo represents the purity, it represents the cleansing, it represents, organization. And then Pisces is mysticism. It's this idea of you don't know, right? You haven't filtered out all of the craziness and distilled something meaningful, right? You still have kind of like this mystical, random stuff in the air. And then when you combine these, you kind of get this purpose, right? Both of these kind of things serve a purpose, right? You need the purity and you need the down-to-earthness, but you also need the mysticism and you kind of need that kind of faith to have a purpose. So I'm going to break this down. This one is rigid compartmentalizations, right? I cannot say that word, but it's rigid categories. Rigid organization versus conglomerate sludge. That's the big opposition here. And basically, the problem with Virgo is that Virgo, organizes the crap out of everything. Everything needs to have a purpose. Everything needs to have a label. Right, everything needs to be put in a box. Everything is compartmentalized. Everything, right? Nothing's connected. Everything is separated. And then Pisces kind of just throws everything together. And it's the sludgy kind of everything's just together, right? It's this very sloppy kind of like what am I dealing with here? And so obviously, what this opposition wants is it wants you to filter everything out. Right? Virgo wants to take the sludge, take the conglomerate crap, and to filter out the stuff that is meaningful. But at the same time, after you've organized everything and you've separated everything, Pisces makes sure that everything kind of has meaning behind it and everything is connected. Because everything is connected, whether you like it or not. There's this sense that if you mess with something over here is going to change, right? So there's this like universalism. So, you don't want to break everything apart to the point that they're isolated, but you don't want everything to be merged together to the point that, it's hard to distinguish everything from one another. But when you start, for example, let's say you have writing utensils, Pisces puts them all together. And it's like, yeah, you could have like a pencil, a highlighter, a pen, and like a freaking micron pen. And you can kind of put them all together and they're writing utensils. But at the same time, it's like, well, I need to make sure I pick the right writing utensil to get the job done. So it's like, this isn't a highlighter, this is a Sharpie. I don't have any highlighters, that's weird. But basically, if I want to write something in deep ink that can't be erased, Virgo needs to find that. It's like, well, let's see. Sharpie wouldn't work because it bleeds through. Micron pen is for drawing, and then a pencil can be erased. So it's like, well, I need the pen to get the exact job done, and that's the purpose of the Virgo. I know that's like a weird example, but or kind of a stupid example, but that's the best I can explain it. The next opposition between these signs is it's details versus the big picture. So one thing I've noticed is that Virgo is like the analyzer. It's the person that kind of takes something and it just smashes it into smithereens, and then it analyzes every single smithereen to kind of get an idea of what it's working with. And then Pisces is very big picture. So Virgo is looking down here, at exactly what it's doing. And Pisces is kind of like in this la-la land, kind of looking at everything. And so the problem is with these signs is that they both can't really see the purpose to anything, as I've said before, because because Virgo is so lost in in the thing that's in front of them, and Pisces is so big picture, and Pisces is just so lost and just so confused about everything that it can't find anything to really create value, you know what I mean? And so you need both, so you look at the big picture and then Virgo is like, oh, that's what we need to focus on. and then you focus on it without getting so lost in the details that you completely lose track of time and you completely get off track. So both of these signs help regulate each other in the sense that they both help you find information that's valuable. And then you could take it a step further with the information, which basically leads to my next one, is that it's facts versus the imagination. So Virgo is very focused on, well, what's real? What do we know? And let's look for it. So, you know, Virgo is mutable earth. So it's all about looking for facts. You know, what are the things that we know? What are the actual truths to things? You know, so it's like, okay, I can see this in front of me. That's a fact. Oh, I can see that in front of me. That's a fact. And then they do the study. Oh, it's a fact that when you do these things, this is what's going to happen. That's a fact. And then Pisces doesn't even think about any tangible, logical information. Pisces is all about the imagination. You know, Pisces is all about information that isn't true, that probably doesn't exist. You know, it's all about stuff that's like information that's not real, but it is information. So it's like fictional stuff, you know, it's like writing stories and then you want to combine them because basically I guess this kind of deals with like storytelling, you know, right? You can be creative and create a world and create characters that don't exist. But if they're too unreal, then the story becomes boring because it's like, well, there's no way a character like that exists. There's no way a world like this exists, right? Because it's not based on reality. So anything that you imagine is it's pointless. Like it's just a bunch of nonsense. And then on the flip side, if it's so focused on the facts, it's at the same time, it's kind of like, well, can we aspire to a better idea? Like I understand that we know this as a fact, but it's kind of like, Pisces kind of helps you think more outside the box. It's like, okay, well, is this true? You know, can we analyze this? You know, it helps Virgo kind of think in a more divergent way, in a way that isn't so in the box and kind of common sense. It thinks more like, well, what about this? Is this true? And it's like super amazing information. So it's kind of like studying something that you don't know is true and then realizing it's true later on, if that makes any sense. Which brings me to my next point, and I think this is the most important thing with these signs, is that it's reality versus the dream. And basically, Virgo is kind of all about that living on Earth, right? We live on Earth, and this is life, and that's it. And then Pisces is all about the dream. What could be, you know, there's more to life than this. What about God? What about religion? What about faith? What about something that's higher than us? And so basically this opposition wants to meet together, because the problem is with Virgo is that it can get so bogged down with reality that life on Earth kind of just becomes pointless, right? Life on Earth is very boring, it's very gray, and it's just, this is life, and that's it. There's just life, right? And so Pisces helps with that by saying, hey, believe in something, you know, believe in a higher purpose, you know, create something, you know, there has to be something higher than just life, you know. So when you put these together, you know, this Virgo Pisces, it kind of gives meaning and value to life, you know, because it's like, okay, I live on Earth and it sucks, but I believe in God. And so now I have a purpose to live. Or it's like, it's almost like, you know, Virgo is kind of like, it's very good at handling the real world. But the problem is it's so good at handling the world and it's just so efficient that it's kind of like, it's just really boring. You know, it's because the real world is boring, right? Life itself is just boring and it's kind of suffering and it's kind of just getting through the day. Right? It's doing your work day to day. And then Pisces is kind of like that amazingness, you know, it's that heaven, you know, it's that perfectness, you know, it's, you know, that dream, you know. And then so Virgo and Pisces kind of work together because Virgo is what pulls the dream down into reality, right? Virgo right? Because Virgo creates goals and it creates steps, right? And you need that detailed and analytical mind to take that vision in your head, to take that dream and to make it a reality, right? And then Pisces is what helps the Virgo make the reality better, right? Because if all you know is reality, then that's it. But if you think of reality in a different way, or what if it could be this way, Pisces helps you do that, which, you know, which is kind of the same point, which is daily life versus heaven, right? Because when you think about it, Virgo is kind of like the maiden, it's the purifier, it's the angel, right? It's the angel with wings, you know. And I've always seen Virgo as kind of like this kind of benevolent sign that pulls down heaven, you know, because Pisces represents heaven. You know, Pisces represents that perfect vision, but Pisces doesn't know how to make it a reality. Pisces kind of just gets lost and kind of just gives up on life. It's like, who cares about this world that we're living in? Because once I die, I'm just going to go to heaven anyway. Once Virgo connects with Pisces, Virgo knows how to take that heaven perfection and to pull it down on earth. You know, and Virgo is why, you know, the purifier, because Virgo creates heaven on earth. You know, that's how I've always seen it. Purity, mysticism, right? And so you need to be able to be mystical and willing to embrace stuff that isn't real, but you also need to kind of, you know, create some practical meaning out of it, you know. But if you're too practical and too rational about everything, then everything kind of gets cold and gray, you know, which is basically kind of like how earth and water is in general. You know, earth is too practical and stable that it's boring, and then water is too crazy and chaotic that there's nothing grounding with it. And so you put them together and you find meaning in the material world. So yeah, that's the Virgo Pisces opposition. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for my other astrology videos. Bye.